They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though.
Year and to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
We're trying to build the championship freaking football team right now.
Papa, I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Well, if that don't get your jimmies tingling, I don't know what will. Welcome to another exciting episode of Fans of the Weast. It's episode 5 with your hosts,
Derf
and Dylan. We reduced the time a little bit there. We're getting better.
little bit. We're getting there.
It's 5 episodes in. It's gonna be like. We'll give it like 2 or 3 more weeks. It's gonna be like that. It's gonna be perfect. I do realize that if you are listening to this podcast, that intro just sounded like a very long, nonsensical thing for you. But that's okay, because you can just skip ahead if you don't want to listen to that. That's fine. But if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, and I'm gonna push that video out to all the other social media platforms, like that video is lit. It's so cool. It's probably my greatest contribution to society in my 28 years of life. I mean, the audio kind of sounds like garbage, but I'm pretty sure I know how to fix it. So it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And I'd appreciate it if y'all just liked the gosh darn video and you followed us on all the podcasting platforms, or at least the one you listen on, subscribe on YouTube, and do all those things at Derf and Dylan. We just, it'd be a really cool thing for you to do.
Yeah, we're not saying you have to, but it would be really cool if you did.
Like, don't you want to be cool? Like, you're just going to be there and I choose not to be cool today, so I'm not going to like their video. Okay, I get it. Fine. You do you, boo. You do you. But boy, oh boy, do I need a morale booster, because Sunday was awful. Because the Seahawks got their absolute shit kicked in, and there wasn't even Bills or even Eagles football to watch because they were both on Monday night.
Right.
Because for those who don't know, I grew up an Eagles fan. Well, I say grew up an Eagles fan, but it was more forced upon me as a child because my parents were Eagles fans.
You were in an Eagles fan environment.
Yes, and I was kind of just, I was born into it, and then once I had my own free will and decided I can pick my own team, then we move forward to the Seahawks. But I still enjoy Eagles football, and obviously being local to the Bills, I am the supporter of said team. But they were both on Monday, so I had to just sit through the slaughter that was the Seahawks, and then there was nothing else. Like, I was just kind of like, let's watch the Cardinals come back and win a massive comeback game, or the Ravens. And then I think I picked like 7 games right this entire week. It's an all-time low for me right now. It was a bad Sunday overall in the grand scheme of things. So let's kind of, let's take a step back. We'll talk about our unofficial sponsor for this 5th episode of Fans of the Weast, which is mustard greens. If you just want a little bit of extra spice in your life, in your salad, on your sandwich, it's just like lettuce sucks, and like this other green, it's just not doing it for me. Or, you just don't like kale, you don't like spinach, mustard greens might be the answer for you. Mustard greens. Eat them.
Can't say I've ever had them.
It's all right. I don't know. It just came to me today, like mustard greens. Yeah, those aren't good.
All right.
They're okay. It might be a select few people out there, but not every ad is focused around the majority. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it's a specialized ad.
Right. Like some people put ads in their videos that are for like hair loss treatment, but there's people with flowing locks that don't need that.
Right.
So it's like sometimes you just throw mustard greens, and then there's some people out there like, yeah, I get this. This guy connects with me. So there you go. That's where we're at right now. Well, I guess we'll kind of go in the order. We'll do a fast recap of what happened last week or on Sunday. Last week's game. That's what I kind of meant to say.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 49ers kind of took the Seahawks, just kicked them right in the nuts. Really just like, oh, yeah, we beat the Broncos and Russell Wilson. We're going to absolutely take it to town against these guys. Well, you only took it to town against Trey Lance. Prayers to Trey, but, that's kind of nasty. But in my opinion, the 49ers officially have the correct starter in, so now they actually have a playoff chance. So kind of like you're welcome to the fans, but like sorry to Trey. That's where I'm at.
Right. Yeah.
No,
definitely.
The Seahawks overall just played like garbage. Defense was trash. Offense was absolutely abysmal. And the special teams, obviously that they scored the only points of the game, where Tariq Woolen blocks the field goal and then Mike Jackson takes it back for the touchdown. And that's really the only highlight I have. There's 2 highlights on this team, the only 2 people I care about, which is Tariq Woolen, our rookie, who has shined. He's played exceptional. Through everything that is going wrong on this team, Tariq Woolen is like, I'm going to be the rock. And so far, he's done that. And then Al Woods. I absolutely adore Al Woods. The dude is like 5,000 pounds. He's in the middle of the defensive line, and he just terrorizes backfields and running backs. I absolutely love him. He's not in on every play, but if there's a play getting blown up in the backfield, 99.9% of the time, it's Al Woods doing it. And I love Al Woods so much. I have 0 highlights in offense. Tyler Lockett had like 100 yards, but like he also had like 12 catches, so it didn't really mean much. Running game wasn't going. The O-line was meh. So
no Walker came back or no?
Walker was playing, but it's hard to tell, right? Like you didn't even know if he played or not. That's a problem. I think he had maybe like 10 rushes and like 30 yards. Let's find out. Let's find out what our boy did real quick. In his NFL debut, Kenneth Walker Jr. III, 4 carries for 10 yards. Yep. That's what we accomplished. But Rashad Penny didn't do anything either. Overall, it was kind of going to lead into, it's something that I'll lead into with my points when we talk about next week's game a little bit. But overall, this game was just trash. Quandre Diggs even said in his press conference after the game that, yes, we are a bad team. Like he full-blooded admitted, like, yeah, this is not this is not it this year. So I feel bad for him and like other vets on this team that they have to go through this period of time. But it's just what happens. So, oh well. The three things I said to watch for containing Trey Lance, for the most part, they did it. Until he got hurt. So, which they contained him on that play technically. So they kind of did it. They still can't tackle for any, like they cannot tackle worth a damn on this defense. That is obviously the worst part of this team is like they cannot tackle. They're the worst tackling team by a wide margin. Playing 4 quarters on offense. Obviously they didn't play 1 quarter on offense. And then Charles Cross and Abe Lucas versus Nick Bosa. I think the rookies did okay. My main issue was with the interior offensive line, which we'll get to in a bit. But overall, I do think the rookies kind of held their own. They played a very tough defensive 49ers front, coming off of the Broncos defensive front too, with Bradley Chubb. All you can ask for them is to try. And I think they did just that. And then my bet would obviously have lost. The Seahawks spread at 9.5. They got blown out by 20. Never stood a chance, that bet. Never stood a chance. So, the Titans at the Bills.
Never close.
And Derf at Buffalo. That was the other matchup there.
Yeah, buddy. Derf in Buffalo, yeah.
Derf in Buffalo. I feel like that should be like a promo trailer. Derf in Buffalo.
So that was a game. That was fun. It was great, but everything they did, everything the Bills did, pre-game, during the game, did not know how large the Goodyear blimp actually was when it's just above the stadium a little bit there and just hanging out, and you look up and it's like, whoa.
That's a big thing.
It is very big, and it was really cool. It kind of like got this really cool sunset picture with the stadium that was all over social media. So that was really cool. But the game itself, man, this Bills offense just does what it wants. I think they had a turnover on downs when they didn't want to punt. I think they ended up punting in the third quarter, I think, and then it was a muffed punt, and the Bills recovered it. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I would have thought this game was when it was tied 7-7 early on, I was like, and Derrick Henry scored that touchdown. I'm like, okay, I don't feel completely comfortable yet. We're still a little nervous. But then the Bills were just like, all right, let's find the next gear. Let's find that next gear and just go. And that's what they did. And Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have such a good connection right now. The chemistry is so good there that, of course, he gets three touchdowns, during the game. So, absolutely throttling of the Titans by the Bills. That Josh Allen didn't even finish the third quarter. They pulled him.
You would think these would be 4 quarter stats. Like, no, all these stats happened in like 3 quarters. It's asinine.
Yeah, like there was there must have been, I think, 2 minutes left in the third quarter when they put Case Keenum in, and and then it was just kind of like the Bills did what they do best, to just run that clock as down as quick as possible. So, the 3 things that I looked at last week were Derrick Henry versus the Bills' rush defense. It was a concern that I think is a concern by anyone facing the Titans. And Derrick Henry actually was very mediocre last night.
13 carries for 25 yards.
Yeah. He had that whopping touchdown, their only touchdown. But other than that, like, this Bills defensive line was prepared to just go after him and just hit him as hard as possible. There was no arm tackles. Derrick Henry tried to stiff arm Tremaine Edmonds, and I watched the replay, and Tremaine Edmonds just like slashed his arm down and then wrapped him up and drove him to the ground. Like, Derrick Henry is not what he used to be, and granted, when they play a lesser defense, you would think that he's going to have a big day again. Sure, he probably will. he didn't against the Giants, which was a little surprising. So, Bill's rush defense against Derrick Henry that really, it was no issue actually at all. After the Titans tied the game, and then the Bills went, full throttle. The Titans passing game versus the Bills secondary. Bills secondary actually held up really well for two rookies there, and then plus Dane Jackson, who unfortunately had gotten hurt last night, and they called the ambulance out. It was one of those kind of friendly fire situations. It looked like when the one replay I saw, where Tremaine Edmonds actually kind of hit him. But everything's good right now with Dane Jackson. He actually walked out of the hospital early this morning. They're still doing some evaluations, but it's a positive sign that the dude's gonna walk again, and everything's going well, and I'm sure the Bills have confidence in their Bills defense that they don't need to bring him back right away. It's not they're not gonna rush him. Let him heal the correct way. Let it get it done. We're only a couple weeks out from getting Trey White back, so there's that. Thirdly, Bills playing cleaner football with fewer turnovers. No interceptions. That was good. Cleaner football seemed a little iffy last night. Granted, I think that was partially the refs calling things wrong.
It was a weird night for the refs last night, like for both games too, like the Eagles game too. Like it was a weird night, bad vibes.
Like when the Titans jumped off sides and the Bills moved, but they called it on the Bills because the Bills didn't hike the ball. But then they called it on the Bills again when they jumped and the Titans didn't hike the ball. It was weird. But I think overall they actually did play cleaner football. Josh Allen I think had a couple more incompletions than what he did against the Rams, but it was pretty well. A couple other things I looked at was Bills' offense being more balanced. It was not balanced at all last night. They were very pass happy until the fourth quarter, and then James Cook just ate. They just they knew they were going to have to run the clock, and that's the easiest way to do it. Don't let Case Keenum put the ball in the air. Let James, let the rookie just work. And I think there's going to be a time where the Bills can't be as pass happy, but I guess for now we're just going to live with it, and we're going to see what happens and enjoy the ride. And unfortunately, the Bills did have to punt.
Real
last
unfortunate.
night. Other than the couple times in the late third, fourth quarter, that was it was pretty punt free.
I won't count the punts where the second team offense is out there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we're only going to count the punt where like the first team offense was out there and couldn't move the ball down. Like they actually had to actually punt. Like, okay, I'm going to say they punted once this season. The other punts are like, yeah, well, Case Keenum's in there, so yeah, we're probably going to have to punt, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm still chalking up to one punt this season so far for the Bills.
All right.
I don't know if that's, I think that's fair.
I mean, and Bills, Matt Milano had a beautiful pick six against Tannehill, which got Tannehill benched.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
And then Malik Willis's first pass in the NFL was almost another pick six directly to Matt Milano's chest.
Oh yeah,
fantastic start to his career.
So, oh yeah, but this Titans team was the number one seed last year in the AFC. Granted, they did lose a few pieces, but I feel like the Titans chose to lose those pieces.
Yeah.
Obviously trading AJ Brown, and letting Lyman just kind of go wherever and end up in the Bills apparently, which
at least one.
So I think this is just another statement game. The Bills just what I see the score was they've outscored their opponents 72-17.
Sounds
I
right.
think is in the first 2 weeks. Like that's just insane.
I think I saw a stat today. I don't know if I saved it, but it was that in the last. This is their 20th consecutive regular season game, the Bills, where they have beaten their opponent by double digits.
Yeah.
That seems extremely hard to believe, but I mean,
Right.
I'm not going to double check. I'm just going to take the internet's word for it.
Yeah.
But like, that's insane. And
Mm-hmm.
I know it's only through 2 weeks, and I just said it again today at work. Like, who's beating the Bills right now? Like, you have the Dolphins next week. We'll get to in a second, and then you got the Chiefs in like 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Outside of that, like, like you've already beaten the Super Bowl defending champs 31-10, and then you take a opponent which the Bills, to be fair, have had trouble with in the past.
In the last couple of years, yes.
Like this is a team that the Bills like are scheduled to play like all the time for some reason. They tried to make this a rivalry or something with the Titans, and they've had issues in the past couple seasons.
Yeah.
And now and then they like enough of that, and then you curb stomp them 41-7.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like this game alone, not even counting last week, was like just a show, like a huge showing of like this is our season.
Right. Like Von Miller adding to that defensive line has just paid dividends.
It's insane.
Like it's insane. And like just like they didn't have Ed Oliver last night. Tim Settle, I think, was out with a calf injury. Trying to think who else was missing on the defense. Oh, and they didn't have Gabe Davis on offense.
Right. The Titans defense and their secondary only had to worry about Stephon Diggs, really. Obviously, there's McKenzie and Crowder that you got to do stuff with.
Right.
But, I mean, your main concern is Diggs, and you still let him pop off for 3 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
That alone should tell you that, I mean, there's no other better chemistry in the NFL than those two right now.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt in my mind.
Right.
So, I mean, that's your recap from week 1 or week 2 there. You know, one team's trending in one direction and one's trending in the other. You know, it's just kind of what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the season that we kind of saw coming. Last week was an anomaly. It was a fun anomaly, but we're here for reality now. Heading into week 3 of NFL football. To go back to the Seahawks, who play, I think it's a 4:00 game here on the East Coast. They will be hosting the Atlanta Falcons. And the Seahawks have opened up as 2-point favorites, but as the home team, I'm basically just chalking this up as even. You know, normally it's like a point and a half, but still, I mean, you might as well just call it even at this point. Both of these teams absolutely suck. They are dreadful. I mean, the Falcons went out to an early lead on the Saints, but ended up losing, and then they got curb stomped by the Rams last week before making like a big comeback, but still coming up short. So I feel like the Falcons have the ability to generate like a burst of offense, and I feel like they have the pieces to do that. You know, the Falcons have Mariota, who's like, you know, it's just obviously the Jameis Winston counterpart there in that draft. Now they have Drake London, who I think is just getting more and more comfortable. He looked great last week. I saw him jump for a ball that was like above his head, but he just like jumped for it anyways near the sideline. That dude looks like Mr. Incredible, you know, like just stretching out. Like he looks just long as shit. It's like insane how big he is and like what his wingspan is. And like they're not utilizing Kyle Pitts at all for some reason, but like they're two in the same person. They're just two huge people.
Right.
This team has pieces to be relatively competitive, I think, on offense at least. And they just like choose not to be. So I don't know. Like Cordero Patterson, running back too. That dude's a monster. It's just I feel like they choose not to be competitive. It sounds weird to say, but that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And then you got the Seahawks, who literally are not trying to be competitive, as we saw with the DJ Dallas trick play that got intercepted. Geno Smith drives the Seahawks down the field, and they're looking great. And then we decide to do one of the stupidest plays in Seahawks history behind the interception in the Super Bowl. It's a direct snap to Kenneth Walker, who's playing in his first NFL game, and he hands it off to DJ Dallas, who then pulls up and throws a 6-yard pass to a DK Metcalf, who was about 10 yards downfield, and it's easily picked off by the Niners. So, I mean, like if that's not a sign that you're tanking, I don't know what is. So basically my overall viewpoint of this game is just who wants that first pick more? Who wants a top 3 pick more? Who's going to be the one to like do that DJ Dallas play and lose this game on purpose. Are the Falcons going to throw this game away by like trying to do some stupid stuff, or are the Seahawks going to let DJ Dallas throw another pass? Like what are we? Who's gonna? This game's gonna be ugly as shit. This is gonna be so bad. Like I'll just say like my favorite bet right now. This bet segment brought to you by BetUS, of course. You can use promo code OOTF because I haven't changed it yet. You can use OOTF to get 125% deposit bonus at BetUS. But anyways, my bet's already under 42. Like this game could easily be like 10-7. But it could also be one of those weird ones where both teams are so bad it ends up being like 31-27. Like I could see that too. But right now my gut is like this is just going to be a slug it out, disgusting offensive mess. And it's going to be like, 13-7, something like that. But my 3 things to watch here, Tariq Woolen, I already brought him up a little bit earlier. I just want to see him continue to be good. The rest of this defense and offense can continue to fail. That's fine. I'd like to see Kenneth Walker do something. All right, but I just, the rookie class basically. But Tariq Woolen especially. Kobe Bryant has been playing like garbage, who I thought was going to be our better corner. He's been awful. Tariq Woolen is the one that's emerged. And I want to see if he can keep doing this. He has been outstanding. He's had a couple penalties, but when outside of penalties, if he's targeted, it's pretty much always an incompletion. Like he's been playing great. So now he gets Drake London and maybe Kyle Pitts on a couple snaps. We'll see. He's not being used at all anyway, so he might not even see him at all. But I'm guessing mainly Drake London. And I just want to see him continue to grow. Maybe some less penalties, get targeted more. I want to see how well you hold up. That's what I'm looking for with Woolen. My second thing to watch here is the offense opening up the playbook a little bit. Pete Carroll admitted to it already this week, saying, it was like a quarter of the playbook for Geno. I mean, that's why the offense looks anemic, because we're not using the playbook at all, which is odd because Geno's been in this offense for what, four years, we said. But he should know the
right.
playbook.
I mean, is that saying that Geno can't?
It must be that he can't operate the playbook.
He should know.
He just can't do it. Which
so why would they keep him as their starting quarterback?
Just imagine it's either because they're tanking on purpose and they think he has the better man for that job, or that just tells you how bad Drew Lock has been. Like in practice. It's one or the other.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be one of those two options, and there's no in between. Drew Lock is either, like, obviously in practice one of the worst QBs Pete's ever seen, or Geno gives them the best chance at a top 3 draft pick. That's it. And then my last point here is better interior offensive play, because our 2 tackles, Abe Lucas and Charles Cross, the 2 rookies, have been playing well. I'm not saying they've been perfect, but they've also had to play some tough defensive fronts. The interior offensive line, where our veterans are, Phil Haynes, Gabe Jackson, these guys have been garbage. Austin Blythe had a good first week. He was trash on Sunday. Like these are the veterans, and they're getting bullied time and time again. And not only in pass protection, but they could not. Obviously, I already said he had 4 carries for 10 yards. Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny had like 8 carries for 15 yards. They can't run block to save their life. So I just need to see. I care more about the rookies, because these are our futures. This is the building blocks for the future, obviously. So I care more about them. But if we want to at least score a field goal, bare minimum on offense. Like, we need the interior offensive line to allow something to, happen. I need you to hold up for longer than 1.2 seconds, okay? Like, we're going to need something out of you. And I think this is a good week to do all these things we want on offense to open up, because the Falcons' defense, I said nice things about their offense, but I will not say anything nice about their defense. Their defense is atrocious. I don't think I could sit here and name you one player from their defense off the top of my head. They have no one. And they just gotten bullied and bullied and bullied. So my pick for this game is honestly, whoever wants to lose more. They could both of these teams could easily lose this game. And it's just going to be a matter of who wants to lose more. It's going to be up to the teams. You can try and pick this game if you want, and 50% will be right and 50% will be wrong. That's the name of the game. I'll take the Seahawks strictly because they're at home, and even if they want to tank, they're going to feel bad doing it in front of their fans. They'll lose horribly on the road, but at home I feel like they care too much about the fans to put on a bad showing at home. So I think they pull out a win.
All right.
That's
your
Seahawks versus the Falcons.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there with the picking the Seahawks. So
Pete cares too much. John cares too much.
I'd be curious to see if the Falcons could build an early lead, and whether or not they could hold it, like the problem they had against the Saints in Week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then really put the pressure on the Seahawks to kind of play a little faster, with a little sense of urgency. But
if you want me to place like a real bet, like if you want to take a bet with me, like if anyone wants to take this bet, whoever scores first in this game wins. That's gonna be my bet.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds right though. I mean, it's gonna be, yeah. Because as soon as someone scores first, then it's gonna be, all right. Now what are we doing? Like it's always been like that. So
the Seahawks offense is not built to play from behind. Like I feel like they just start panicking and doing stupid stuff when they're playing from behind. But then like if the other team scores first, like if the Seahawks score first, the defense plays better. Like they're hyped up. Like, oh, we have a lead.
Right.
Like let's go now. Let's like go at them. If like they're playing from behind, it's just like, oh well, we gotta rethink what we're doing here, and then they like overthink everything, and now that's just the offense is just steamrolling you.
Right.
That's why I say who scores first.
Yeah.
Like what happened in Denver? The Denver game.
Well, exactly.
Gino went right down the field and scored, and it's like, we got this. We can do it. Everyone's hyped up and pumped, and like and then we end up winning. San Francisco scores first. Well, I guess we're just gonna lose this game and just like play like shit for the next 4 quarters. Like that's just what happened.
Right. Yeah. Well, moving on to the Bills game this week. Bills are at the Dolphins, minus 5.5 points right now. So much closer than last week's spread. So
imagine if like the Dolphins don't come back and beat the Ravens, like what this spread would have been. Like if the Dolphins ended up just losing like 35-14 as the fourth quarter score was. Like this easily could have been like a 10.5 point line.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, like you mentioned, the Dolphins came off of a comeback victory against the Ravens. We already talked about the Bills, slaughter the Titans last night. But these three are my three things to watch for the game coming up on this Sunday, which is actually the first Sunday the Bills are actually playing on for the season so far. We've had Thursday night and a Monday night, and now we actually have a Sunday game finally.
How boring.
Right? Like Sundays have been boring the last 2 weekends because there hasn't been.
We're gonna
Bills
play
football.
when the sun's out. That's stupid.
So the three things I kind of keep an eye on is the Bills secondary limiting Tyreek Hill. The same thing I kept an eye out for when the Bills played the Rams. Tyreek Hill, in his days with the Kansas City Chiefs, knew how to tear apart this defense here, and could just destroy over the middle for these Bills. And I think the Bills have made some changes, but the Bills don't want Tyreek Hill to have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on him. No, that just says that there's a higher risk of losing there. Secondly, I'm gonna keep an eye on getting pressure on Tua. I think as soon as you get pressure on Tua, that is just absolutely gonna mess up this offense. No matter how many weapons they have with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek on the outsides, and then the running backs. I think as soon as you get into the head of Tua, it's over. So I'm gonna, and I think this Bills defensive line can do it with only 4 rushers, which is what they do majority of the time. Von Miller is going to know how to, make a younger quarterback unsettled, and I think that's going to be good. And if the Bills get pressure on Tua, then I think the Bills can. I think they can just continue to do what they have done the last couple of weeks. Is they get either they're tied early on or they have a slight lead, and then they just throttle on and go from there. So. Third thing is the Bills' offense being able to move the ball at will. I'm hoping that they can still be able to do that. Can his offense kind of just do what it wants? Even with some plays that don't always work, still be able to move the ball at will and just do their thing. Can this Miami defense actually slow this Bills offense down where, we're not getting 60-yard drives. We're having a 3-and-out situation. So that's my third thing I'm going to keep a look at, because if this Bills offense can just do what it wants against the Dolphins, like someone signed the check to the Bills for the Super Bowl winners, because it's got to be just over by then. I think how many more teams do the Bills have to beat? I'm
going to have to wait until that Chiefs game. I just have to.
Okay.
I have to.
Okay.
Like,
it does make sense because Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes.
Because I feel like with the Bills, if you're gonna compete, you need to put up like 35. Like you definitely need to be above 30.
Right.
If your defense isn't gonna play, your offense needs to, and you're gonna need to be at least above 30 to consider being competitive in a game versus the Bills right now.
Yeah. No, for sure. So we'll see what this Bills offense does. And speaking of the offense, my other point here, and I'm just keeping an eye on from afar, is will this offensive game plan ever be more balanced? It's kind of like I mentioned during the recap of the Titans game. They just love passing the ball. That's what they do. Josh Allen makes these incredible decisions, something that we never saw from him. It was always a concern, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And then this run game, I think they really have the depth chart for these running backs, not in the correct order.
Yeah.
Like Singletary, I don't think he played. I think he played maybe a third of the game. That was it. And then they went to Zach Moss for half the time, and then then they let James Cook just kill the clock.
Maybe that's the plan. Like maybe they're literally just like, yeah, Singletary will start the game, and then we'll just be like, all right, Zach, get in there, your turn, and then Zach Moss just James Cook just kind of like cleans up. Like maybe that's literally all they want to do. Like it's gonna take the league like a couple weeks to figure it out, but they're just like, yeah, maybe that's what they're doing.
Maybe
instead of like interchangeably using them, they're just like, you have the first, quarter and a half, and then Zach, you got like a quarter, and you just got like a quarter, and then you clean up the end there, Cook. Like it's kind of wild, but maybe that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with the blowouts that the Bills have had these first couple of games, we haven't really seen a need to have the entire starting offense on the field the whole game. So maybe that's why we haven't seen more balance, because the Bills haven't been, going back and forth against the team. It's been pretty one-sided for the most part. So maybe we'll see this weekend. Maybe we won't. But that's my from afar point there. My favorite bet here, I like the Bills at -5.5 points, and I'm looking at the over of 53.5. I think that's think that's very achievable.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, if Tua's going to throw for 6 touchdowns and then Stephon Diggs is going to do his thing too, I mean, yeah. I don't think it's crazy to think that this game could go over.
Right. The Bills hopefully have Gabe Davis back for this game too. We'll see if the injury report comes out. I don't think the injury report doesn't come out until Thursday, but it was I think it was an ankle injury. I think it happened during practice. So instead of rushing him to get back after last night's game, they made him inactive. So hopefully that will be resolved by Sunday.
Like back when you said that, the Titans-Bills game was tied 7-7 and we were all kind of wondering like, oh, it's going to be that game with the Titans again.
Right.
Like my very first thought was just, man, it just seems like maybe this offense just doesn't have enough without Gabe. Like Gabe was that missing piece. Like Stephon was obviously a big piece, but like Gabe Davis coming into his own, like being the guy he is, maybe he's the piece they always need to win.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, Crowder makes a lot of plays. McKenzie looks slippery as all hell. And then even Kumaro made a great catch down the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay. They're not Gabe Davis, these other pieces. But if one of them goes down, like even say Stephon's out for a game and Gabe's in. Like, I'm not worried about that. Gabe can just be Stephon Diggs. It might not be great, but, man, it's a 1A and 1B situation. And he can, like, we've seen Gabe put up huge games. So we know he can do that with Josh. And then when they're both on the field, obviously, that's just unstoppable. It's disgusting. So you'd prefer they're both on the field, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Man. So I'm not even gonna, you're taking the Bills in this one, huh?
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills in this one.
Okay, that's fair. That's I just wanted to confirm.
Just to confirm on a hunch, yeah.
Yeah, just a hunch. My favorite tweet that I saw over this past week, it was that someone tweeted it last night. It was a Bills fan, and it said, "Remember the good old days where we just hoped the Bills would score 2 touchdowns so we get a free coffee the next day?"
Yes.
You don't see those promos anymore.
Oh, I mean, they still put it up on the screen though when it happened. There was like, and at the game last night, because they still technically do it, but it's funny that I saw that too. They're like, attention, all Bills fans, the Bills scored 2 touchdowns. Make sure you stop at your local Tim Hortons to get a free medium coffee.
And everyone's just like, "Oh, that's fun," but we're winning 41-7 right now, so it's okay. Like, before it was just like, well, at least I got my coffee, thank God.
Yep. Got my coffee to make it Irish and help with pain.
I'll never forget my first Bills game. My brother picked up 6 free tickets from a gas station.
Oh, geez.
Just so they would air the game on TV. They just literally gave tickets away back then.
Oh yeah, that was a thing for a while. Like some person bought a whole bunch of tickets just to make sure the game didn't get blacked out.
Yep, like gas stations would buy out entire sections and just give tickets away so the game would air.
Like, I don't know if any NFL game has been blacked out in a few years.
I think the community usually comes together to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
As much as it pains them to have to go do it, they still usually do it.
Right.
Well, the Seahawks are heading in that direction, but it's gonna be a long season. But at least I can enjoy the Bills' success marginally, and it looks like the Eagles might do something too. So at least my parents will be happy.
There you
go. This has been one heck of a ride for episode 5 of Fans of the Weast. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. We had fun, I think. Did we have fun?
I think we had fun.
Yeah, well, that's all it's all about. It's always you get to talk about your own teams. Just get to break it down. I get to shit on my team. You get to talk good things about your team. We all have fun. And then we got to get I have to reach out to Danny Boy and get him on here for a show.
Yeah.
I need to know where his head's at right now with Jimmy G being back in for the Niners. We do have one guest coming up who is confirmed, not next week, but the week after, October 4th, which is Tuesday, so it'll air on the 6th. We will have a guest who is actually a Bills person. So it'll be a little bit more Bills focused come October 6th. So you'll enjoy that. I'll just kind of sit here and I'll just be present.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. Whatever podcasting platform you're on, hit that like and subscribe button. Head over to YouTube. You can watch the new hype video that'll be up on YouTube. It's really cool. Hit and like and subscribe over there. And then Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, wherever social media platforms you use, at Derf and Dylan to find us there. Mainly Twitter. We're very active on Twitter. If you were on our Twitter page last night, you can obviously we're very active on Twitter because I tweeted about 30 things out last night. A lot of fun there. From your hosts,
Derf
and Dylan. Look at that. It's so good right there. This has been Fans of the Weast. Peace out.